So many people think you have to choose between a thriving BDSM dynamic and the responsibilities of real life. Not true. I'm Alessandra from Sub Living, and in today's episode, I'm sharing an interview with Harlo and Adira, a couple in my All Access Pass program. They've mastered balancing marriage, kids, health issues, and their Sub roles. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, this is exactly what you need to hear. In this interview, they share their biggest mindset shifts and a key action step anyone can take to improve their Sub relationship. Let's jump in and hear their story. I know you'll be inspired. Here's Harlo and Adira. Welcome to the Sub Living podcast. So welcome, Harlo and Adira. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're stoked to be here.
Yes, we're definitely stoked. So why don't you just start off by giving us an overview of your journey and how you got started with the Sub lifestyle?
Yeah, sure. I'll take away the first run at this. For us as a couple, it just kind of came as a curiosity about different lifestyles. Adira has always been bi-curious, has always had an alternative lifestyle as far as the sexuality goes. Myself, I was never a vanilla individual, even, in my early younger teen years of discovering my own sexuality. I was never into the norm. I was always interested in like more of the depth and the erotic nature of the human body. So even for me, like as losing my virginity, if you will, it wasn't just a normal thing. It was very thought out. It was very calculated. I was more concerned with what I could provide my partner and then what I would get out of that experience rather than just oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. So for us, I think it just kind of came, I guess you could say, naturally. uh,
Mhm.
but what really, I think, kicked it off was, her being bi. I wanted to make sure she had that freedom to be able to explore that even in our relationship. And we were friends for years before we even became roommates, and then from roommates to an actual union, a partnership, a marriage. But I always wanted to make sure she maintained that. So it was, we were never normal. we just didn't know where we fit in, right? Like when you're going through that, you just don't know. You're like, where do I fit in? Are you this kind of a couple? Are you that kind of a couple? So I think we both of us were always kinky. We just didn't know how to identify it. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah.
And normal is boring. Who wants to be normal?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like stories to tell. That's important.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and so I will ask another question. I'll start with you again, Harlo. So what were some of the mindset hurdles that you had to overcome on your journey as a Dom?
Ah, insecurity, number one. That was really tough for me. All my relationships have been very, they've long, they've had tenure. I was never heavy into the dating scene. So being in committed relationships all the time, they were at least a year or more long. There was a level of security that I always had in that. And going into the BDSM and kink lifestyle, you are kind of putting yourself out there to potentially have multiple partners. You're also, you're putting yourself out there and being vulnerable to things that you might not be comfortable with. And for a big one for me was, am I doing it right?
Mhm.
Am I good at this? Is there such a thing as good at this? So I think insecurity was a big one for me, a mindset to overcome, and then just being confident in what I wanted and that it was okay. And that because I had the consent of my partner, I could then, explore what I actually wanted and what I needed. And that's hard. That's a hard mindset to overcome, to
Mhm.
say, hey, you can actually get what you want. You can take what you want. Things can be the way you want them to be. We're not, I don't think we're conditioned that way as in the society to feel like it's okay to go out and ask and get what you want these days. So it, yeah, that's it. Those are the big ones for me.
Mhm. And then what about you, Adira? What were some of the mindset hurdles you had to overcome on your submissive journey?
Well, for me, the biggest was anxieties. I probably could group like almost every single mindset hurdle I had into anxiety, worrying about not being good enough, worrying about, my age or how I looked. Pretty much, yeah, I was just worrying all the time. I think in the beginning it was very distracting, whether it was about BDSM specific stuff or just life in general. And my other mindset hurdle I had to overcome was having MS, just dealing with symptoms daily and also not knowing if new symptoms were just going to appear, kind of made it challenging in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. And so there may be people, watching or listening that don't know a lot about MS. Would you be willing just to like give a little overview of like what it is and like how it shows up for you?
Yeah. MS is an autoimmune disorder where your immune system attacks your brain and it causes a lot of like nervous system symptoms. That was hard to say. Which can really vary greatly. For me, it's dizziness, fatigue, numbness, tingling, balance problems, trouble,
Cognitive.
cognitive, trouble word
Mhm.
finding and things like that. So, but I've been dealing with it for, oh my gosh, well, since 2007, I
12
was
years.
diagnosed. Yeah, definitely had it before then, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. No, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure it has been, very challenging, for both of you, even for, Harlow having to adapt to that and know how to show up for you as your Dom. So, yeah, I just really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's part of growth. I think that,
Yeah.
and when you get into this lifestyle or any alternative lifestyle, if you want to classify them as that,
Mhm.
um, you do have to get to a place where you know who you are, and you do start to take more of a look inward. I think
Mhm.
it's awesome, and it helps you. It does help you to grow and share and then identify these things. So it's more than just, hey, I'm in a lifestyle where I get to have kinky sex and do all these wonderful things. Like there's a lot of growth to it,
Yes.
and working with her in MS, it's the cognitive stuff gets tricky because we talk about safe, sane, and consensual. So I
Hmm.
have to be very aware, when she's
Mhm.
trying to get out words and communicate her needs, that
Mhm.
I'm understanding and speaking her language so that I know that yes, she's actually coming from the right mind.
Mhm.
Safe words are important, safe
Mhm.
motions are important because sometimes it's not easy to get out,
Mhm. Yes.
cognitively for her the word she's trying to find. So it's tricky, but it's fun. I definitely enjoy it. It provides a challenge for me, and I love challenges.
Yeah, I can see that how, it does like keep you on your toes and keep you, having to adapt. So I can definitely see that. So see, Adira, you're a big asset for him. So but
It's
but
taken
yeah,
care of
it's
me. It really made sense for us to kind of do a daddy dom little
mm,
girl relationship just because he always has had my best interest at heart, even if I didn't want to see it at first. But this has really helped me, just become more aware and appreciative of all that.
yeah.
And we can add that to the challenges and the mindset hurdles. Definitely, definitely kicking and screaming sometimes for sure.
Yeah. Adira can't be a brat, can she?
No, what are you talking about?
Well, Adira, can maybe you share some of your best tips for mastering your mindset as a sub?
Yes. Okay. So I know everyone says it, but and you were right. Journaling and meditation is actually really, really helpful. For me, it was just finding like the right app to use and the right program to kind of make
Mhm.
meditation make sense to me. And it'll probably be a lifelong, you know, skill that I'm growing, but it actually really does help with
That's
that
good.
like, focus and not getting distracted by the outside noise in what you're doing. So I do meditate and journal daily, and I use my notepad,
Mhm.
yep, to remind me. And then I make sure to consume any like BDSM stuff daily, podcasts, articles, videos, the Q&A videos that you and Jay do,
Mhm.
working on sub workbooks and online training courses, which is why I love your website
Thank
because
you.
taking your Dom sub training course was really, really helpful for us. And getting the all access pass, it just kind of gives me the ability to engage in these things every day. I feel like it was really essential for me in like getting a better understanding of myself and my submission. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would echo that. For me, uh,
Yeah.
it
So what
was
would you say are some of your best tips?
well. And this is going to sound funny, and everybody will pick up on this, I'm sure, if they haven't already. I laugh and I joke. I love fun and humor in life, but this stuff I absolutely take as serious as a heart attack. I was a performer since the age of 6. I did
Mhm.
theater in high school, community theater. I had a career in music and performance for quite a while, and so that is where all of my extrovertness went. Outside of that, I was very insecure. I was very much an introvert at home. If I
Mhm.
wasn't at a festival or if I wasn't performing as a DJ, I was at
Mhm.
home. Like that was it. So it didn't help that the security parts and the insecurities that I had to be that way, because it was like you would go from one thing to another, right?
Mhm.
All of these people, crowds of 15,000, sometimes up to 60,000, that are just there cheering, and then you go home and it's dead quiet and there's nobody, and it was hard for me, and so I never really shared any of this about myself. I kept my kinky side extremely quiet, even from Adira for the
Mhm.
longest time. I was very nervous to even try certain positions in the bedroom because I was like, I don't want her to think I'm a freak or I'm too freaky or
Mhm.
those things. Even though I knew in the back of my mind she could handle it, and she was way more open minded and free and
Mhm.
willing than I was even. And I think it was just me getting in my own way. And believe it or not, the information, the education, learning about it,
Mhm.
seeing other folks and meeting other people, that helped a ton when we first started dipping our toes into it for me. And we were in a small community at the time, so it was a little bit easier um, to find folks.
Mhm.
But honestly, like finding an online community like yours, being able
Mhm.
to actually have a coursed out, you know, process and teaching and a plan and accountability and all of these things that I swore off social media. I swore off interacting with anyone outside of our home for the longest time.
Mhm.
And so to get on this community and be able to share and actually start to talk about my experiences and the things that I've gone through, that was huge. So I think for me, the thing that really got me over this and able to do this was the support from others and a
Mhm.
place like Dom Sub Living where I felt safe to talk about it and
Mhm.
safe to be me. Um,
Mhm.
but it takes a daily thing. It's a daily routine. I have to talk every morning. I have my mantras I say to myself. I sit on the edge of the bed when I wake up, and I take a few minutes before I do
Mhm.
anything. Just kind of sit there in thought. I meditate. I do float therapy. Love it. Anyone that is ever curious about it, it's amazing. Sensory deprivations. That's scary for some folks, but I love it. You sit in a water tank filled with water that has a high salt content, so you literally float, and it's pitch black, and I love that. It helps me, work things out in my mind. It's like my meditative space. So yeah, but talking to people, yeah, just
Hmm.
find your routine, meditate. Um, I could go on for hours.
So both of you kind of mentioned, like community and meeting others. And I know a lot of us hold back from that because we kind of think like, oh, everyone's going to be leaps and bounds above me and, be a Christian Grey or have this, huge dungeon, So what has been your experience though, like meeting real people in the community?
Well, yeah, first time we dipped our toes into this, um, I had some friends that, she's had friends, I had friends that I wouldn't say were in the community, but knew folks that would. I got to do a show with another performer friend of mine in Oregon, actually, at the Crystal Ballroom, and it was a BDSM show, and they do it every year, and it's 3 levels in this giant ballroom, and I mean, I saw things I did not know could be done. I did not know existed. I just, it like really, it just kind of almost was like it jarred me into going, wait a minute, like this, and there were so many diverse people that I instantly I felt comfortable. Some of the folks I was with, you could just see it was like a deer in headlights. Some of the other performers that we were with, this was the first time they'd experienced something like that. So for me, it was almost like a shock therapy, and it helped me to not feel as bad. And I was actually more open after that to really entertain the ideas, of this lifestyle. And she actually is the one that had brought it to me, um, because I was just way too scared. I was way too nervous to bring it to her. Um, how about you? I'm curious to hear what she has to say.
What I get out of that community?
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like what do you, yeah,
Like, it's amazing to see how normal everyone is. Like, they're just people from all different walks of life, different sexualities, different nationalities, even, all different ages. And it was just cool to see that they're just people. I think, like you were saying, you go into this worrying, that you're not, young or perfect looking, you don't have all the things. And just to see and talk to people that, you just could meet at the coffee shop and, share with each other. And everybody's really open and they're in different places on their journey. And I feel like it's a really good space to ask questions, but you're going to get like a wide variety of answers, but also sometimes the same one, which lets you know that it probably works.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
yeah.
that's what I've felt about it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I know, people listening to this too are just gonna be, blown away too that it's like, you have a Star Trek, background
Yeah.
and, and Adira has health issues and yeah, you guys have kids. So, it's just normal people, practicing BDSM. So yeah, it can be anyone you meet on the street and you never know.
You don't.
Yeah.
You really, really don't.
It's been
I
amazing.
think it's getting more traction. I think as you see more folks share, join communities like this one, um, and get out there and see that it is normal, folks. I think it's starting to grow. Um, in the beginning, when we were dipping our toes in, like I signed up for Fet Life and tried to. I was like, I'm gonna go all in, and I got this. I can do this. Is easy. I got it. Okay, I'm ready to go. And it was just overwhelming, right? It was so much, and there's people like you said that are so far ahead that have been doing this for years, and you feel like you can't measure up to them, right? You're like, oh my gosh, wait, my profile. I don't have that much to put in my Fet Life profile. I don't have that much to put in this profile here or that profile there. And that's tough, but if you really just kind of step back and realize that like these people have built this, they've taken time to get to that point, and you got to start somewhere. It's the, it's the slow is smooth, smooth is fast. The, you know, fail forward, try, do something. You don't, it doesn't, like I always say, you don't have to boil the ocean. And that was the biggest thing for me, is to see that there were normal people that weren't doing that. That helped me out a lot. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. So, Harlo, I'll ask you first. So, what would you say is like the key action step everyone can take to improve their dom sub dynamic?
Number one, if well, I'll start with the couple. We'll speak to it kind of from a couple side and dynamics, since that's what we are, and we are now proudly practicing, 24/7 TPE. You got to first agree to contract. Like, you got to do it. Like, contract is so critical, I think, because you are putting thoughts onto paper, and you're saying, yes, I'm agreeing to what I'm seeing in front of me, right? And we even did a fun little ritual where we sat with each other, and when I gave her the collar, we kind of almost did it like our own little mini, revowing ceremony. You have to do something like that to really solidify it for yourself. So I think the key action step is to, lay out your wants and needs, get them agreed upon, get the rules, get the expectations, get that contract, sign it, and take that first step. That's huge. I think that's a big one. And the second, if you don't have a partner, I think the key action step there is to get involved in some sort of BDSM community if you're truly interested in it, so that you can start to surround yourself with people that are knowledgeable and that can provide you the information that you're going to need to be able to make an informed decision on finding a partner. And who knows, I mean, that might change the whole game for you. Maybe, that just doing that key step of starting to talk to people and get involved, maybe helps you find a partner that was maybe apprehensive themselves, and you can be the person that brings them into the world and changes their life. So even if you're a sub, that doesn't matter. Like, subs can find doms and say, hey, this person, they kind of have a dom personality and they seem like a dom, and maybe they're nervous about letting that out, and you can enable them. So if you don't have a partner, get involved in the community, get out there, get around like-minded individuals, find your tribe. If you're a couple, just do the contract, sit down, make the agreement, just do it. You can work on it later. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be ironclad out of the gate. You know what I mean? It's gonna change. Like, it's gonna change.
Yeah, but that's funny because like whenever I'm coaching couples, and that's usually my first question is, well, do you have a contract? And they're like, well, no, we thought that was kind of silly. And I'm like, okay, this would fix like 99% of the issues that you have.
We're humans. We know, I mean, they say that, you can try to take notes in your mind, but as soon as you start writing things down and you commit to, it's different. It's different.
It makes it more real, and yeah, the commitment just becomes there. So yeah, definitely those are some great tips. So how about you, Adira? So what would you say is the key action step that everyone can take to improve their dom sub dynamic? Something to
so I could see my notes.
I was playing tricks on it.
I was gonna go just like deer in headlights all of a sudden. Even though I worked on this for like a couple of
times. I always have my
you do
get my little torture and poke in there somewhere.
Well, I would say for couples who are mostly just talking about it and haven't started, they can't seem to move past that. You just have to start. Kind of like you were saying, there's never going to be a magical, perfect moment to begin. You just got to pick a couple things, keep it easy to start with. You can add in more as you go. And then I think it's nice to look back and go, oh my gosh, this many months ago, we were doing only this, but then you can feel like proud of yourself as a couple for how much you've grown your dynamic. Um, and I think for those people who are kind of already on the journey, communication and consistency are key. There's all kind of resources to make sure you stay consistent and keep on track with all your rules and rituals, and also open and honest communication. So kind of always know where each other's at, and you can, resolve things before they like actually become a big problem. Communication's been huge for us. I'm still getting way better at it. But once we actually started like talking about it, our dynamic became really successful. Yeah.
She's a communications major, a bachelor in communication.
What?
So there you go.
I like to learn about it. I wasn't very good at putting it into
Practice.
into practice. No, it was nice on paper. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I always say like the difference between a BDSM relationship and a vanilla relationship is just more talking. You know?
You're actually
Seems
talking
like-
about
yeah.
the things that are up here in your head. Like,
Yeah.
We
It's a whole lot of talking. Yeah.
communicate more now and way better than we ever have. I feel like for me, this was like a step I really needed to become a better communicator, better at receiving what he was telling me, and better at expressing my needs and wants as well. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point, because a lot of times when we think about communication, we just think of the skill of like talking and getting what we want to say across, but you're totally right. It's about listening to and hearing what they have to say and what they want. So it goes both ways. So I like that you brought that out. And I know you're both really active in the Dom Sub Living community online, and I really appreciate that. Everyone loves you there. So is it okay if people reach out to you and connect with you there?
absolutely.
Mhm.
Caveat: I'm a talker, as you haven't noticed. I can write novels, but I can also keep it short and concise if that's what's needed. But please, yeah, reach out with questions. Our journey is definitely one that we could talk about for a while. I could do breakout sessions on just our struggles alone and some of the things that we've gone through that were pretty intense. I mean, it was really touch and go for a while there with us. And it's, there's a lot to unpack. Everyone has a story, and now that we're in this place and comfortable, with sharing it and knowing that we're part of a community that is accepting, to who we are and the lifestyle that we lead, I would say, please, yes, reach out. I'm not always the best at initiating conversation, over the digital mediums. But I will always respond. That's just my thing. I always respond.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I know,
Daddy.
I know so many people are going to be inspired by you, Adira, too. So I'm sure you're going to get a lot of messages and a lot of questions, a lot of other people dealing with health issues too. And just, it's hard being a sub. So just on all of that too. So,
People
yeah.
that struggle with health things that are kind of invisible.
Mhm.
They affect you a lot, even though other people might not see it. So, yeah, anytime. I'm always open to answer
Yeah.
questions and talk. I'm also not great at initiating, but I
There's a
love
lot
to.
there.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Secrets. Can't give it all away on
Yeah.
the
We
right?
got to leave you on a cliffhanger. Yeah. I actually had one very important question though, but I
Oh,
was
you
going
can
to
have
ask
10 more.
I was going to ask, what is your favorite Star Trek series?
Oh my gosh. You can go ahead and go first.
Oh no, I don't want to disappoint anyone out there.
There's no such thing.
Well, I really love two of them actually. Um, Obviously Captain Picard.
You like the series?
And
Cool.
Okay, well, a lot of people might hate on me for this, but I like Star Trek Discovery.
She does.
I do. I do like it. So those are probably my two.
Next Generation, hands down.
Yep.
No questions asked. Like
Well, there's
next,
Picard, right?
well, yeah, that's his. But there's the Picard series, and then
Mhm.
there's the Next Generation is where he is.
I
Yeah,
meant Next
Next
Generation. Yes.
so hands down, that is my favorite series, and the main reason is that I think that's the series that fundamentally changed how people looked at Star Trek as a show, as a
Mhm.
culture, as a sci-fi movement. The
Yeah.
original series was amazing, and what they did at that time in that era, for that
Mhm.
age, for folks was huge. You know, they pushed boundaries when it came to, diversity and relationships, and I mean, they were on the forefront. You know, they had a female. You know, they had Uhura, who's female, and she's a crew
Mhm.
member, and she's on the bridge, and you know
Mhm.
that those are big things that they pushed. But Next Generation, like, I mean, it attacked social issues.
Mhm.
They covered so many things in a small window. Like, people would think that Next Generation is like 15-20 seasons long, and it's not. It's like 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's short, and they did so much in a short period of time that it's my favorite. And yeah, and I mean, Q, what can you do? Q is just
Yeah. Yeah, that's
yeah.
definitely the OG. That's my favorite is TNG. Jay's too, we both like we have a game where like we'll start a next generation episode and like we try to race to see who can figure out which episode it is.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
by the beginning of it. But
Game
and
on.
and he really likes Discovery though, so he'll be happy that you said that, Adira. But the one I've been liking right now is Strange New Worlds. I
Isn't that
really
neat?
like that
Isn't
one.
it cool what they did with Pike and the crew? And like,
Yes.
it's pretty impressive.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
was impressed.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
That was awesome. Well, thank you for humoring me.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure we have a lot of other Trekkie fans that are
Yeah. Yeah.
watching and listening, but
You go on. Star Trek, anime,
Yep.
you name it. We're nerds.
Well, if anyone
Mhm.
watched Discovery, they know where I chose my name from.
Yes, as well. Yes, yes, yes. That was very
Yep.
impactful.
Was.
Mhm.
Yep. Wasn't always my name.
Wasn't always Adira. That's
No,
true.
but now it is
It is.
legally.
Yes,
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
So you were giving people all kinds of wonderful things they can ask us about.
Yes. A lot of tidbits. Yes.
Do it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, for everyone who's watching, be sure to remember all of their great tips that they shared today and their action steps. So that way you can start putting these strategies into place today. But Harlo and Adira, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing all of this incredible information so freely, so openly, and just sharing all about your journey. And I know it's going to help a lot of people.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you
you
so
yeah,
much. It's
thank
been
you
an
for
honor.
this. Thank you. It's yeah, shocked. It went by so fast, but
Mhm.
that's what we were having fun. But yeah, it was actually very humbling to be a part of this. So thank you.
Wow. I hope you enjoyed that interview with my All Access Pass students, Harlo and Adira. A huge thank you to them. But if you want to reach out and say hi to them, they are inside our online community. And you can check out our All Access Pass at domsubliving.com/all access. Now, all of the links and resources will be in the description, but I'm really in awe of their story and seeing their progress. So hopefully it sparked you to take action, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. Make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. But until next time, keep embracing your power and pleasure through Dom Subliving.